I can't just tell them to do it. It's going to take them the whole process that it took me to actually embody and become the person that knows they can do it. It just takes the time.
You got to remove the self-limiting mindset, getting rid of like the fear of judgment. And you have to develop that confidence. And it's already there. Like who you really are and what you're wanting to share, it's already there.
Yeah.
You just have to let it come out. And it's the hardest thing in the world.
The self-limiting beliefs are spontaneously removed by just doing over time. You had to do a bunch of stuff before you really kind of realized, oh, I can do this. And that's the same for me. It's the same for everybody. And that's why what I said when I talk to friends who are like, I really want to be more independent and make my own money. And I'm just sitting there, oh, just do this and that. It's like, that's not going to hit them yet until they start doing, and they need to really feel unconfident at first. It's like, that's how we all are. But I think the self-limiting beliefs are naturally removed as you do. Being a creator in this way, it's like a self-improvement process that you're doing, like a self-development. It's almost like unconsciously you're trying to build a business, but through building a business and a brand, it ends up transforming you as a person.
True freedom comes from within.
I realized I was being codependent.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Sovereign States of Mind podcast. I'm Jordan Herbs. I'm happy to have you along on the ride as we explore what it means to practice sovereignty. It is a concept that can be discovered and observed in many different ways. In this show, we just like to cover all the possible different conversations to discuss what it means to take responsibility over ourselves, our thoughts, our actions, our behaviors, and to be able to witness when we have unconscious programming where we're just being some kind of robot doing what our government or someone else told us. So in this episode, I talk with Tucker Fatal. We thoroughly discuss the creator opportunity and what it means to be a creator, not an influencer, a creator online, someone that shares their heart, lives through their passion, and makes a really good living. It's a way to create uncapped revenue and income in your life. It's a way to be completely sovereign over your time. This is a really exciting episode, and I'm excited to put it out there. We talk about exploring early business avenues for your product. We talk about the psychology of different social media platforms users. We talk about fostering inspiration versus mongering fear. We talk about the spiritual development that happens when you work for yourself. We talk about how self-limiting mindsets can be completely conquered just by doing the hard work and committing to yourself. And we talk about recognizing constraints to maximize our personal potential. There is a lot to learn from this episode. So I would say if you're interested in bringing these points home, check out sovereignstatesofmind.com. There's a blog post on this episode. You can read through it. You can see more of the points in detail. And you can also sign up to the newsletter, Sovereign States of Mind, where you'll get bi-weekly updates on both the podcast and my personal journey to sovereignty. So as you follow along in the podcast, you can see how I'm trying to apply these lessons in my own life. This episode is brought to you by Kapi Hawaii. If you're anything like me, you see the value in entheogenic plant allies and nootropics in your everyday life because they help us remain aware of ourselves, focus on our goals, and tune into optimal creative states. This is why I'm super proud to announce the first sponsor to approach this show is a product line of Kapi Vine microdosing lozenges from Kapi Hawaii. Kapi is a vine that has had a relationship with humans for thousands of years. Hailing from the Amazon, this Kapi vine has been a supportive ally to humans in recognizing the fundamental sovereignty we have over our own consciousness. A few years ago, the Kapi vine played an important role in helping me become aware of my deep psychological tendency towards victimization in the face of hard times and the self-defeating mindsets that developed along with it over years and years. All that changed when I started working with the Kapi vine. I no longer fear taking responsibility and owning myself. These Kapi microdoses remind me every day of the self-growth I carry with me since those early ceremonies. They help me return to a state of basic self-connection. And it's very subtle, but it's very real. When I'm microdosing Kapi, the rough around the edges feels smoothed out. My unproductive cravings are silent, and I find myself acting from an integrated state of mindful awareness. These Kapi lozenges are non-impairing, and you can stay completely functional. It is an MAOI, which means if you're on any medications such as SSRIs, it's very important to speak with your doctor or physician. So if you're on the path of uncovering and creating your best self, Kapi Vine is a powerful plant ally to have along with you. Check out kapihawaii.com. That's Kapi Hawaii. Hawaii is actually pronounced Hawaii by the native culture. Use promo code Jordan at kapihawaii.com for a special 15% off. Promo code Jordan, 15% off to get started on your journey with this powerful plant ally. Without further ado, let's get started. We're going to jump in with an introduction to Tucker, his business, and how he got started.
You're listening to Sovereign States of Mind.
I currently am the sole operator of a company called Dragon Finger Drums. I teach finger drumming online, which is short description is it's an electronic way to play drums with your fingers. And so, man, I've been playing drums since I was a little kid, since I was like 14. And I always knew that I wanted to be a musician in some capacity. And a few years ago during COVID in 2020, I suddenly had all this time on my hands. And I was like, you know what? Let's see if we can start making money off of music like I've always wanted to.
Sweet.
So that's kind of how I got started. And it's just been growing since then. So I've been doing it since then for 3 years.
So how did you start? Did you make a product right away?
Yeah, well, not immediately. At first, I just started putting videos and stuff on social media, started making music videos for YouTube and Instagram.
Music videos, like of your own music?
Yeah, just showing off my playing. I wanted to kind of build an audience. Yeah. Because I was also modeling after other similar, creators and business owners that I saw online. And I saw they would kind of, create content that would sort of show off what they could do or what they could help you with or what they could teach you. And then they would direct you to their website to actually sell you their teaching.
How to do it.
Yeah. And so I started doing that. And then I started getting requests. Like people were messaging me, even without any website or any product. People were messaging like, how can I buy lessons from you? Oh. And so I started out doing just one-on-one lessons. I made a website for that. And then I quickly decided I wanted to do courses that I could just create and maintain and then have people sign up for. So,
and that requires quite a bit less energy than the one-on-ones.
Yes. And I can reach more people, which I like. And I also polled my audience at that time. I was like, how many of you would like to do a personal live lesson versus a tutorial that you can just buy and watch as many times as you want? Almost everybody chose the tutorial. And so I was like, okay.
How many people were in your audience at that time?
At that time, it was only like a couple thousand Instagram followers.
Well, that's still quite a bit.
Yeah.
On Instagram.
Yeah.
Going into this new age, especially like with AI, where you can now program an AI to play that music for you or with you. Do you have plans to kind of evolve with what happens in the space?
I have a general vision of what I want to do with Dragon Finger Drums over the next few years and beyond. Yeah, obviously there's so much happening, especially with AI, like you said. 3D printing, there's all sorts of like weird new ways to produce things too. Because I ultimately want to get into the hardware space and like create my own physical instruments. But I also want to maintain focus too, so it's like I do want to be open to like taking whatever new stuff comes along and implementing it into the business. But I like the idea of being like very targeted into what I think is like going to be the most successful thing for just my company to do. I'm super minimalist in that way. It's kind of like the Steve Jobs mentality of like, when he came back to Apple after they got rid of him and then they were like crashing and they brought him back. It's like, Steve, you need to come back. Like we're dying. They were about to go bankrupt. And he just like slashed their catalog. He slashed a bunch of products that just like weren't selling. He's like, get rid of all this crap, like focus on the things that are really effective for us. And like, let's make them really good. Right. And so that's kind of my mentality too, is like, there's like so many things I could pull from and use. Even now with my business, I could be using AI for my business in a million different ways, but I'm actually not. I'm just focusing on the few little things that I know are most effective at this time. And I'm just going to keep doing that.
So do you think there will always be a demand for people that want to learn finger drumming despite everything happening with AI?
Oh yeah. I think so. There'll always be a demand for people wanting to learn music. Just because it's a form of creative expression. Like that's never going to go away. People enjoying playing music. Now music for commercial purposes or professional purposes, the landscape will probably change in terms of like maybe all commercial music for commercials and stuff will end up being made by AI. because that doesn't need to be made by a person. That kind of music.
So it'd be cheaper, faster.
But people always want to express themselves. I think that's a fundamental element of human nature. So,
and it'll always leave space for like the John Williams of the world,
totally,
like to make these epic environments and soundscapes for people.
Yeah,
right. So you started off during COVID. You start putting out your finger drumming.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, look, this is what I do, and people started to like it. And you pulled the audience. You were giving one-on-ones. Obviously, that's the easiest thing anyone can do right off the bat because you're already an expert in something. Offer your services.
Mm-hmm.
And as I've always heard it say, start with something like $100 an hour, and then every like 10 clients, double it.
Yeah.
And then that kind of can show like it's working. People want your services, and it's also demonstrating your expertise and your authority in the subject. So you keep doing that, but as you come to find out, time is a very scarce asset.
Yeah.
And it's not unlimited.
Yeah.
So you have to decide, where do I want to put my time? I need to create content to keep getting my name out there. That's like fundamental. You can't sacrifice that. But then you need to decide what to do with your time. Am I doing lots of one-on-ones to make a living? Or, as you decided, do I create a passive income product? And so you made that decision. You pulled your audience to make that decision.
Yeah.
And do you just have one course? Do you have multiple levels?
No, now I have a few different courses. So at first I had just one course, like the master course, and it was kind of an A to Z of finger drumming. And now for the past year, I think I've had a foundation course, and the master course they're now separate. So I have like a beginner product that's like more targeted for like the fundamentals. That's like a 30-day course. And then I have the master course, which is now targeted for advanced stuff. And they're both way more in depth and more detailed than my previous iteration. And so it's kind of separated that way because it's like not everyone will want to go all the way to a highly advanced level. Some people, they'll want to learn the fundamentals and then kind of sit with that for a little while before moving on to advanced stuff. I kind of like blew out the learning timeline a little bit, which is good, because if we're learning a musical instrument, it does take time. You can't just like speed run it. It's not quite the same as like some kind of life coaching, or like maybe if you're coaching nutrition or something, you can just kind of like implement changes in your life and like there they are. Like learning a skill like this, it really like just takes time to implement. So
you have to train your muscle memory.
Right.
And literally all you can do is practice.
Yeah.
It takes time. So is that why your courses are 30 days? So the repetition.
Yeah. And that's the short one. The master course is a couple months worth.
Oh, wow. And so is there like a video every day? Or?
Not every single day in that one. In the 30-day course there is. But yeah, I've kind of, because that's the other thing. It's like when I was learning music, it's like if I'm working on a new skill that I want to learn in my music and my drumming, I can spend some time watching lessons and tutorials about it and okay, I need to do this, I need to do that. And then if I want to really implement that, I need to just spend time practicing it, So it's like I could watch a lesson, but then I need to take a few days or a week to really implement it. And so it's like, it's kind of a balance. My courses are a balance of that, of like, here's like new lessons, but also like take your time to learn the stuff before you push forward.
So is your beginner course cheaper than the master course? I'm imagining.
Yeah.
So what kind of investment, and do you mind if I ask how much is
Sure. The foundation course is $197, and then the master course is $397.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so did you have to play with those numbers for a while?
Yeah, totally. Pricing is always it's always a question mark.
Yeah.
I feel like there's never like, this is the price for sure. It could always, because it's like, if you have lower prices, you'll be affordable to more people. But it'll be less valuable. It'll be literally perceived as less valuable. I think that's a really interesting thing, is like the psychology of value. And when you put a price on something, like, it determines what it's worth to people. And then if you price higher, you end up getting students who are more dedicated, because they're like, I'm willing to invest whatever hundreds of dollars into my learning, so that they're more dedicated, so they're actually going to get a better result.
Yeah. Well, plus psychologically speaking for them, they're invested.
Exactly. Yeah, they're like, I'm $400 deep into this, so I'm like going to take it more seriously.
Well, at that point they're like $600
or six.
Deep, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like I'm always trying to figure out that balance of like, how do I reach as many people as possible and also have a good enough price point to make a living for myself.
Yeah.
And like, so I can keep doing this. I think in the future, I will probably, when I have a much bigger audience, I'll probably change my pricing structure a little bit to make it more affordable to a big audience. The way I see it right now is like, I'm trying to target a smaller group of people. And as I grow, so it's like, I want to grow. I'm using my YouTube, my music videos to grow just awareness of finger drumming, and then pulling those people to my website, and then using my current course setup and structure to get the people that really want to learn. Those people will provide great results and ultimately great like testimonials. And they'll be the people that'll help kind of show what can be done. And then in the future, when I have a much bigger audience of students who are really like, we want to learn, like thousands of people, then it's like, I could maybe set it up like a monthly subscription to where it's just like, here's an entire catalog of videos and you just pay me $30 a month or something and you get access, instead of like, $400 at once or something for a single product. So there's a lot of different ways to do it, but that's kind of how I might see it happening in the future.
Yeah, I love the subscription model like that. It's almost like an academy or something. It's like you're subscribing because right. you're not going anywhere.
Exactly.
So it's more affordable.
Yep.
But at the same time, it might be more risky for you. But once there's enough people, then perhaps it makes up for itself.
So I actually tried it already last year. About a year ago, I was like, oh, that's a great idea. I was inspired by similar musicians who had online academies with a monthly subscription. So I was like, oh, I'm going to do that for finger drumming. There's nothing like that for finger drumming right now, really. And so I did. I set it all up. I made a ton of content for it, which now is in the Foundation and Master course. I kind of divided it into those new courses. But when I originally set it up, I launched it. It seemed all good, and it was just not enough to sustain the business. Like there was not enough students. There wasn't enough demand for it. We got a few people, but like it just wasn't enough to sustain.
Yeah, so it's a tricky thing.
Yeah, that's got to be a future thing when there's a bigger audience.
How many followers do you have now on Instagram?
Okay, well, Instagram, my original account, I got up to, I think 17 or 18,000 followers. But I actually ended up deleting that account because Instagram was like limiting my reach. And I just got fed up with Instagram as a platform at that point.
You just deleted it?
Mm-hmm. I deleted it.
You didn't even just keep it there for posterity?
Yeah, no. Well, because I deleted it because I basically ended up sort of hearing and reading that Facebook, when they acquired, I guess Meta, when they acquired Instagram, they were starting to implement this change where they would limit the reach, like forcibly limit the reach of smaller creators, especially, in the hopes that they would get frustrated with that and start paying to promote their posts, like to boost their posts. I don't know if that's true, but it seemed to be true because the timeline just and my engagement just fell off a cliff all of a sudden, and it just stopped for like 6 months. And so I was like, and I was doing the same content strategy. It was all the same, And so I was like, all right, let's try like deleting this and like making a new account. And so I did, but it's like, it just seems like the whole platform is different now. Like when I was starting and blowing up on there, I was using Reels and they were new. So I was I was like on that wave of like Reels were going so viral. And now it's like, I think the platform has changed a lot to where it's just, to me, just personally, it doesn't feel as good to be on there. And I don't get as much active engagement from people who are on there.
I hate Instagram.
Yeah, so that's basically what I'm trying to say is I don't like Instagram anymore.
I don't know how their algorithm works. I haven't even bothered to look into it.
Yeah, because
I've just never felt like anything about it was equitable. I mean, like, I have several examples of why, but I think the best example, maybe the most humorous example, is we all know Instagram is very like aesthetic. Mm-hmm. It's all about how pretty the video is. We see a lot of like mostly naked women on there, and all these accounts are doing great. And they're like, if they know you're a male, like suddenly you're just gonna see hot women in your feed. Yeah. I did my best for so long to remove all of it. Like, I don't want to see them. They somehow keep sneaking back like fire ants around here, right? They keep sneaking back in. And I'm like, what is this all about? I did a video at the beach naked working out. Mm-hmm. And it's a fun video. And then I put emojis over my privates. And it was really funny, actually. There's an eggplant emoji dangling around and a peach. And like the video became about the emojis because it was just really funny. Censored. They said you can't do that. We're not showing your content to anyone else. Then there was this other video. It was kind of like a trend, a real thing where there's this song like with this Brazilian Congo thing. And all these guys were getting a big pot and putting it in front of their junk and then shaking it like they're playing the drum. And so it was really funny. I did it naked, but with it, you don't see anything with the drum there. Censored.
Yeah.
Like we can't have you do that. And I'm I'm not even a creator on there. I'm just a guy messing around. I don't take it serious at all. They wouldn't let that. Yet you go over there and you see these women doing God knows what, and that's okay. Like no problems whatsoever. So that to me demonstrates some of the like hypocrisy of that platform, where with like what you're saying is you're doing really well, then suddenly they just drop your engagement off a cliff. So I don't know exactly how the algorithm works. I think you and we'll talk about YouTube in a minute, and we can even talk about Twitter. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if they just want you to pay money for because if your content is already doing well and you already know it's engaging and you already know it's working and then suddenly it just stops, like that to me is confusing. And so in the creator sovereignty cohort, which we started last week, I recommend people don't even bother. If you're trying to make a following, if you're trying to build, if you're trying to eventually sell a product, don't even bother starting an Instagram. Like Twitter and YouTube are so much more powerful because you know how it works. I mean, the algorithm is open source now for Twitter. So you can straight up look at the code, and people diagnose the code. They look into it and they let you know what's going on. They tell you, oh, now threads are no longer, I don't know if you've ever been a Twitter user, but you make a thread because you can only do so many characters in a tweet. Right. So you do multiple tweets in one, it creates a thread. Now it's more about a blog, like a long tweet. You can you can do a long post. And if people open it up, then that's better for the engagement. That's going to be pushed more by the algorithm. Yeah. Same with video now. Twitter wants to push video more. But based on how you're looking at the screen, it's not necessarily vertical video that's really in style. Because when you're looking at the Twitter feed, it's a horizontal, like 16:9 video. Interesting. It actually makes more sense. Yet, if you open it on your phone, then it might be 16:9. So it's weird. Yeah. It's almost like going back to like 1-to-1 ratio, kind of like Instagram was originally. Yeah. But okay. So yeah, that's Instagram.
I tried Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Those are the three big ones that I've tried. And it's like the mindset that a person is in when they are a user on one of these platforms is kind of what I thought of.
Interesting.
And so when you're on TikTok, I also tried that one. 25,000 followers, millions of views.
Wow.
But the average, and I was a user on TikTok so that I could experience how are they like when they're on this app, when they're watching my videos. And it creates an atmosphere of like quick scroll. You know, the way that TikTok is built and the way that people make their videos to go viral is like quick, engaging, really interesting for like a very short amount of time. And it's just like quick scroll. There's nobody's on there really like diving deep into anything. There's no depth. It's like just quick
content,
like just content. You're like, whoa, that's interesting. Yeah, exactly. It's like fast food. Totally. And so, I was putting out my videos on TikTok and some of them would go viral and do well. But I looked at my analytics on my website and I got almost zero actual website visitors over months from TikTok.
So you just had a link in your bio?
Yep. And in every video, it's like, check out the link in my bio. You want lessons? Same as I do on YouTube, same as I do on Instagram.
Yeah.
So on TikTok, I got almost nothing. On Instagram, I got a little bit. And then on YouTube, which has my lowest following, I got almost all of my traffic from
YouTube makes the most sense.
Yeah, because the attitude of people on the platform, they're engaged. The thing is, even think about it, like if you're on TikTok and you're watching a video that you don't like and you want to watch a different video, you just scroll.
Yeah.
Scroll.
Well, and that's same with Instagram. Now with the Reels, especially.
Yeah.
They started copying TikTok.
But on YouTube, if you're watching a video you don't like and you want to watch a different video, you have to find something on your screen recommended and click on it. You have to choose to click something specific.
Unless you're watching shorts.
Choice. But yes, exactly. And I don't use YouTube shorts. I tried using those for a while. And it's the same. That's the thing. It's cultivating the same mindset and behavior on the shorts feed as it does on Instagram and on TikTok. And that vertical video unlimited scroll behavior with those algorithms is it's not good for engagement. It's not good for people who are actually wanting to learn and understand you.
Oh, another part about the Instagram user experience, like my wife loves Instagram, and what she does is she bookmarks things. And back in the day, and probably still to an extent, like recipes, like valuable things that are valuable. Like, oh, like where's that recipe for that banana bread? Like, you go back in there and okay, that's cool. Oh, hey, this was like me. I don't really bookmark much. I used to bookmark memes and stuff. Like fit like a really good workout. I see some guy doing, like, I want to come back to that. And so if your content isn't something that really needs to be bookmarked, like, you're just playing the drums to show off your skills to push to your website. You're not teaching the drums right there.
Right.
So why would someone bookmark it?
Right.
What's the point?
Exactly.
And so this is very important for choosing your platform. And the medium is going to dictate, your medium is going to be dictated by the platform and what the user is actually intending to do while they're on that platform. Someone might show up on YouTube not even knowing that they're going to find your website by the end of the day. Right. But that's what YouTube is built for. Yep. It knows that you're into that, and drumming. What about finger drumming? And the algorithm tests them. And then soon they're on your video. And maybe they're clicking your website. Do you have a lead magnet, or is it straight up go to the website?
Yeah. So the other interesting thing I'll throw in is that YouTube is the only one of those three platforms that allows you to put clickable links on your content. Yeah. Instagram and TikTok do not allow you in your actual post to put a link that you can click on. Only, in your Instagram story or in your bio. But if it's in your bio, it means people have to leave their content feed and go to your page.
It's such a headache.
And then click your website. But like on YouTube, I can put a pinned comment on every video and in the description that they can click to go to my website. And I can even put it in the video itself.
Put the overlay. The end cards.
And so that's a really cool thing that YouTube is. I mean, it's like they all should allow you to do that ideally, but it's like the other two platforms don't. So
yeah, well, they have less incentive. I guess.
They want you to stay on the platform. That's even like TikTok. I found out, this is pretty freaky, but I found out that TikTok, it like shadow hides your comments. If you like try to put a pinned comment in your TikTok video, like on YouTube, that says go to my website in bio, or like go to dragonfingerdrums.com for lessons. If you use any words that imply leaving TikTok, even if you say Instagram, it will shadow hide your comment, which means that you will be able to see it as if it's there normally, but any other account will not see the comment. It'll be gone. And I made my own personal TikTok account to check this. I would go on my Dragon Finger Drums account and do that pinned comment. And on my account, I'm like, it's there. I can see it. And then I log into my personal account and I look at the video and it's not there as a user. Yeah. And so it's like, whoa, dude, they don't want anyone leaving the platform, which is like, that's not supportive of me as someone who's trying to teach something and like ultimately spread, awareness of my
once again, which leads us back to YouTube and Twitter. They both allow you to push people out because those platforms know that they are the discovery engines for your brand. Maybe you do have some discovery engine aspect of Instagram and TikTok, but really those are just for content. They're just for, for attention grabbing, maybe attention keeping in a certain way, or maybe you push from Instagram to YouTube because you make entertainment, like, oh, here's a sneak peek or something like that. But overall, I think any successful creator knows at this point, like, you got to focus on one platform, especially in the beginning. And then you need to decide if the other platforms are even worth it, right? Depending on what you're trying to do.
I can see using TikTok again in the future when my only objective is to just gain popularity in the mainstream consciousness.
Attention.
Just getting more awareness of,
which is valuable.
I saw finger drumming videos. Like, I've never wanted to learn it or buy any courses, but like, I saw the videos and I know what that is. That when that's my objective and not trying to get students, then I'll probably go back to using TikTok, or I'll also be using TikTok.
And it's super valuable. Like I said earlier, I don't recommend using Instagram. But to an extent, if you think you have content that could get a lot of attention and hype, as long as you're harnessing that attention correctly which once again depends on the limitations your platform puts on you, then do it. Generate attention. No attention is bad attention in these days, but you need to know how to harness the attention.
Yeah.
And in most cases, that attention is best harnessed on YouTube and Twitter.
Yeah.
For your convenience, this podcast is available on all major podcasting platforms. So head over to your favorite app and give us a subscribe and follow there. And you can be notified when there's new episodes. We also appreciate nice reviews if you like what you hear. And sovereignstatesofmind.com offers an option to be notified by email when there is a new episode, or even if you're interested in the content but not quite sure you have the time to invest in listening to an hour-long conversation, we do sum up the episodes pretty in depth in that weekly email. So that's at sovereignstatesofmind.com. Just pop in your email. We'll only use that email to send you updates from what's going on with this show. Okay, so let's dive into YouTube a little bit.
Sure.
So would you say your marketing efforts now are all concentrated on YouTube?
Yeah.
All the content you make?
And a little bit on Google. That's actually my two main traffic sources, is YouTube and Google search.
But paid acquisition on Google or SEO
No,
stuff?
I did a little bit of paid, but it wasn't really fruitful in terms of the actual return. So yeah, mostly SEO at this point.
Okay, so you have a blog or just on your website?
Yeah.
How often do you have new blog posts?
I'm not super good about that. I'm not as intense with putting out new posts on there.
But you don't really need to be if it's evergreen, right?
That's the thing. And with SEO, it's you kind of just gradually do work over a period, and it kind of gradually builds and improves your ranking over time. And Google traffic is a pretty secondary source. It is mostly YouTube.
Yeah.
But that is the other.
Well, YouTube's the second biggest search engine.
Exactly. That's the thing. So it's I'm basically just getting traffic from these two search engines.
And are your YouTube descriptions search engine optimized as well, or is it pretty relaxed about that?
Yeah. No, I make sure to get everything pretty
keywords
straightened out with the keywords and the tags and all that stuff. Yeah.
And so what are your YouTube videos? Are they more music videos?
Yeah. So I do a mixture of just music videos and tutorial videos. And the tutorial videos are not as in-depth as my courses. They're just singular little topics or questions about finger drumming that I've been asked that I feel are smart to put out just to everybody for free. Kind of just almost FAQ type videos of what about this with finger drumming? What about this? Yeah. What's the best controller? What's the best software to have? How do I even get started? It's those kinds of things are what I tackle in my tutorials.
And some of those questions probably come from your comments, huh?
Yes.
So it acts as community engagement as
exactly. Well. And then really I like to focus mostly on the music videos because it serves such a nice, a multi-purpose, function in that it showcases what can be done. It shows off what finger drumming can be. So people are seeing this wow, this dude can play drums with his fingers. I could do that too.
Right.
It also serves as sort of a resume for me as a teacher because it's here's my skills. You can see where my skills are at.
Yeah.
And then it also, a music video can be watched and enjoyed by anybody, even if they don't want to learn. Anybody can enjoy it. So it reaches the broadest audience possible. I try to think of what's my behavior when I'm on YouTube watching music videos that I enjoy. I'm invested. I'm I love this creator. I want to watch his videos. Do I necessarily want to learn from him? Maybe, maybe not. But it's the behavior is and a music video is something that I will save and rewatch many times because it's so entertaining. Yeah. So those kind of videos on YouTube have a great potential to be more viral, to reach a really broad audience. And they also have the ability to, those who are interested in learning with that link, people can be oh, I can learn from this guy. Okay.
Now, do you put that link in the comments or in the description?
Both. Pinned comment and description.
Top of the description?
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like a naggy salesman?
No. Even just recently, I started adding a call to action in my actual tutorial videos. My music videos is just music. I don't talk. But in the tutorial videos, I just recently started adding a little section where I say, hey, if you want to learn, because my free starter course is where I get people started on my website with my course offerings. So it's that's where I have it's 5 or 7 lessons, and they're all focused on those setup questions of getting started. Here's how you put your software and your hardware together. All you need is your little pad controller. There's a free drum software that's included with that starter course. I show you how to set it up, how to get started, how to play some basic grooves. So it's like, that's like a nice little setup package for anyone who wants to get started. And I wanted to make that available for free.
That's the lead magnet.
Yeah. And so that's what I talk about in my tutorial videos of like, if you want to learn,
get this for free,
go there. But no, I don't, because I really don't, I try to be not pressuring people. I don't like high pressure sales. Like
no one does.
Exactly.
Right? It doesn't work.
Like, I'm not trying. Yeah. It's like, I want to cultivate a company and a brand that's like really feels like we're serving you as a student, as a customer, it's right? Like, yeah, it's like we have services to offer you. Here's what we can do. Here's how it will benefit you. And if you want to learn, like, make the decision. But I don't want to I hate all that manipulation that's it's like it seems like all the business and marketing stuff you learn nowadays, like, people on YouTube and books and stuff. It's all like basically how to convince and persuade and coerce people to like buy from you, even if they're not sure but it's like,
yeah, I think there's a transition happening though.
Yeah.
I study the creator space a lot, the creator economy, the creator opportunity, and the ethos is provide value.
Right.
As you're demonstrating, like, provide value all the time. Your free content is valuable to people.
Yeah.
And yeah, even the entertainment stuff, that's valuable. FAQs, valuable. Anything that helps someone learn about something that they're remotely interested in is valuable.
Yeah.
And then that's helping build a relationship with you, which will eventually, as long as you're demonstrating your authority, which you're showing that you're someone they want to learn from, because you're not the only person they can learn from, but they want to choose you because they like you. They've built a relationship with you. They know you're good. And then like, hey, this guy's cool. I'm gonna give him my email and I'm gonna get that free package. And then, do you have a newsletter? Yeah. So you send out the newsletter, and then, you just you mention that this is available now, like this new product or whatever it is, the new course. And then soon enough they convert to clients, and there's no coercion. There's no slimy, used car salesman tactics. There's just this is my service, because the ethos of all of it is provide value. Right. You're doing what you love in order to provide value to someone else that wants to learn it. Yeah. And if someone doesn't want to learn it, they don't have to. They still have plenty of free stuff that they can.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. One thing I learned that has been really beneficial and is honestly contrary to a lot of the stuff that you read in these like modern day kind of business, these moguls that are telling you how to start a business, is the idea of marketing and trying to kind of sell your product based on what's positive rather than like playing to their fears, because obviously you can sell a product based on like, this will solve a problem for you. And that's what I do. But like, there's so much out there in the business and like creator space that's like, like really play up people's fears, man. Like, you got to tell them how horrible their life's going to be unless they buy your product, Yeah. And it's like, I at first I just kind of was like, okay, I guess that'll work. And I tried to put some of that, but it just didn't even make sense.
If you don't learn the finger drum, you're going to fall behind.
I kept thinking about that. I'm like, what are people like, where's their pain in not knowing how to play an instrument? This is not really painful. Like, it doesn't ruin your life. It's something you want for a positive reason. You're not trying to escape pain when you learn a musical instrument. So it's like, I kind of have been, I started implementing a lot more of that into my, into my marketing and my website and stuff.
Yeah.
The descriptions of my products is now like more about the positives.
There's a lot of like relearning people have to do going into this new era, I think, as well. Like, instead of mongering fear, foster inspiration. It's really simple. And yes, it works on different like neural pathways in your brain, but I think they both can be equally successful. Totally. And we've already gone through this capitalist era where our fears are being played upon. And to an extent, a lot of people's fears still are being played upon. Sure. But as we go into this new creator economy, this new era, it's like, it's time where we can just be ourselves, share ourselves, provide value together, and appreciate one another. Like, I get excited when I'm going to pay for a course by another dude
Yeah.
You know, it's not a corporation, not a company. Like, it's just some guy that's offering an introduction to something for $40. And I've been following him on Twitter and I find it pretty valuable. All right, I'm gonna take the plunge and I'm gonna pay $40 for. I'm already on his newsletter. I'm gonna pay $40 for this course, and it feels good because I know I'm supporting someone whose only goal is to provide value.
Right.
I mean, yeah, he's trying to make money too, but good for him. Like he's doing it by providing value, not playing tricks.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I agree with that totally. It's like that's the attitude I want my students to have when they sign up for a course. Is like, oh, I'm excited to pay for this, and I really enjoy what I'm going to get out of this. And it feels good to buy this. You know, it's like nobody wants clients that are like afraid to pay, or they're already resenting having to pay because they feel like they're supposed to, or, you know, it's like, that's not a good. And I think a lot of this fear mongering marketing attracts those sort of people, and it almost cultivates that attitude in people. Of like, are you afraid of being broke? Are you sick of being broke? Like, you need to spend $1,000 on this package so that you can stop being there. And they're already kind of living from a place of like, God, I guess I have to. But they're like, oh, this is I'm already broke. It's $1,000.
Well, but that's what's interesting. Is like, you know, on Twitter, right? All the time, you just see, I sold my $10 million business and I grew 500,000 followers on Twitter. Here's how I did it. And then they have like, I mean, the good ones, right? The good influencers, the creators. Then they give you a long little blog post or tweet thread about literally how they did it. And whether that's the mindsets involved, the strategies, the techniques, all the different things that they went through in order to get that place of success, which they're hooking you in the beginning by saying, oh, look at all these things I did. And that's really cool. They're nowhere in there are they saying, buy my shit.
Yeah.
But you go to their profile, you click the link to their website, maybe you join their newsletter, and it doesn't even matter. You could DM them. You know that they'll take your money if you say, hey, I want you to coach me in doing what you did. Right. You don't even have to try to sell anything. Right. Just demonstrate that you know your shit. Demonstrate your authority, and people will come to you. Right. I had another guy on the podcast a few weeks ago, a guy in Singapore, and he all this experience in business, started a $300,000 e-commerce business after he quit his job, and he didn't like it because he was working too hard. Then he started building his personal brand and learned that. And he didn't even have 1,000 followers yet before his first client got a hold of him saying, hey, I want to work with you. Yep. Like, and he wasn't offering that service anywhere. Right. He was just providing value. So it's almost like we're shifting the whole paradigm on its head. Yeah. Instead of saying, oh, your life is going to suck if you don't pay me money. Yeah. It's like, no, here's value. Right. I hope you like it. Yeah. Yeah. Ideally, it would be customers are almost chasing businesses rather than the other way around. Beautifully put. You know, because right now businesses chase customers, and like, so how do we get as many people as possible? Which is like, what a silly mentality. Yeah, I know, right? Well, that said, I mean, we are still running businesses here, right? So there are still things to consider. So let's talk about your sales funnel. You have a funnel, right? Yeah. On your website. Yeah, yeah. You gotta take them, the potential client, the potential customer, on a journey. You gotta tell a story that they relate to. Like, oh my God, that's so me. Yeah. Right. You gotta bring them there and convince them still. Convince them without exactly like convincing them. Yeah, because without coercing. Well, I don't think anyone's coercing anyone when you're online with an option to pay for something, but you can be manipulative, I guess. Right. Yeah, you could be like straight up lying. But you got to tell a story. You got to start with yourself. Like, here's me. I used to be like you, and then I did this, and I learned this and this, and now I think you can do it too. And here's my strategies for how you can do it too. Still not convinced? Let me tell you more. Blah, blah, blah. Then, oh, here it is. Here's the price. Too much? Think about what it could mean for you. Blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, maybe we're not escaping the paradigm completely because we are still trying to convince. But like you said, we're not going down this fear mongering path to do it. Yeah. We're going down this like, hey, feel inspired. Right. Because with my product, you will feel empowered. Right. I think even all the stuff the way you just broke that down, I would still even put all of that under the header of like providing your value. Like because part of that is like clarifying your value, you know, saying like, why is this priced this way? What is it going to do for you? You know, tell the story. Even all that is still, I would put that if you do it with that more positive mindset or
vibe that you're putting out. That's still in the world of providing value. It's when it gets into the the manipulative stuff that's not really providing value. You're trying to take value from someone. That's when it's becomes more problematic or more just negative for anybody involved.
Right.
But yeah, it's like there's nothing wrong with clarifying exactly what you're offering and like what it's going to do for people.
And it's super interesting too, just like on a side note, like there maybe not with finger drumming, but with a lot of things, there could be thousands of other people offering exactly what you're offering, but there's only one of you.
Exactly.
And so I think at a certain point, I mean, and probably many of us would have this, well, why would I even bother? There's so much competition. But really, the competition isn't in the product or the service. The competition is in the relationship developed between you and that audience.
Yeah.
And that is what's going to sell at the end of the day. It's you.
Right.
If you were like an asshole on camera, like talking shit about other drummers, like people probably aren't going to want to buy your course.
Unless they really like your vibe, you know? This guy's
metal.
He's the best. Yeah, right. Then you'll attract those people. Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. So, okay, there's a couple other questions just for clarification that people might be curious. Bless you, bless you, bless
Excuse
you. It's a trifecta.
The 3, that's 3's good. That's lucky.
Yeah, that's the enlightenment. So people think of, okay, how many followers do you have on YouTube?
Approaching 8,000.
Okay, 8,000. Good amount, but not a lot.
Yeah.
People think of, oh, you're using YouTube, you're making YouTube videos, you spend all your time doing YouTube videos, you must be making good money on YouTube. And that is a misconception I want to dispel right now. Sure. As you have 8,000 subscribers, and I think you told me the other day you just monetized.
Oh, yeah, a few months ago.
Yeah.
In March.
And you're probably not making much.
Right now it's like $40-$50 a month at the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the point is creating content is not the end game.
No.
Monetizing your content isn't the end game. Making viral videos isn't the end game. The end game is, well, there is no end game. You got to keep playing. You want to keep playing because it's just putting out more of you in different forms and products. But what you're trying to do is sell a product.
Yeah.
You're trying to convert this attention you're generating via content, convert the attention into revenue somehow using the methods we're describing, provide value, inspire, but convert it into revenue somehow. Yeah. This isn't about monetizing your YouTube channel. I hear people that, want to talk to me about helping them with start a YouTube channel or coaching in some shape or another, but they think that's what the goal is. Right. To make a bunch of money on YouTube. And people don't realize that like the Mr. Beasts are very rare.
That's the thing. It's like if you're, for creators that are trying to teach or share something, yes, it's not about monetizing the content. It's about using the content to spread your teaching. But there are, some people monetize the content like the Mr. Beast, but that's a long and very different path. And that dude started in like 2010, and now he's where he's at. Yeah. I remember I watched some like compilation video of like Mr. Beast every year since he started. And it's like the old videos are like, wow, man, he's just a kid like playing Minecraft.
I scrolled through all those videos once, all the way to the beginning.
Yeah.
But I mean, they still have millions of views because of,
right. Because
people will always go back to it.
Yeah. But it's like, exactly. Those are the rare examples.
Well, but that said, one day you'll have 800,000 subscribers.
Sure.
If you keep going.
Right.
Because that's just how it works.
Right.
These platforms reward you for bringing people to their platform, for putting more eyes in front of the advertisements, that they're getting almost as much as you in the ad revenue, which is fine. Whatever. I used to hate it. I used to hate these big tech platforms for reasons like that. But they are pretty powerful discovery engines when you have your own product, when you look at it as, okay, you're creating content here not to feed the big tube like monster. You're putting content in there to get discovery, to get eyes on what you have to offer. Yeah. What you're trying to teach and share.
Right.
So when you look at it that way, creating content takes on a completely new meaning.
Yeah.
And my point is with Mr. Beast, with having 800,000 subscribers, as long as what you're putting out there is good from day one, ideally, one day more people will see it.
Right.
They'll like me scrolling back to the Mr. Beast videos, and seeing all these old videos before he was famous. It's still good.
Yeah.
It didn't go viral at the time because it wasn't there yet in the zeitgeist, I guess, and he didn't have enough followers for the YouTube algorithm to really pump it out there.
Mm-hmm.
But the content's still good. People will see it.
Yeah.
Tenfold if your content is educational,
Right.
or if you're sharing something. So if
Yeah.
you got something to share, you don't be discouraged by not enough people seeing your content. Keep making quality content, because as they say in the creator space, it's a little until suddenly it's a lot.
Yep. It's always, always.
Suddenly it'll just blow up.
Suddenly you blow up after years of work.
Yeah. And then your backlog of content will start making you money.
Mm-hmm.
So you're making $40 now, but one day those videos will be stumbled upon and you'll get hundreds of thousands more views and you'll make money from that.
Yep.
And then that's there forever, as long as it's proper evergreen.
Right. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's that's a good myth to dispel right there. Is don't do it for the monetization. The monetization will come later.
Right.
As long as you're following the guidelines for building for consistently building a brand the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It all depends on your objective. Cause also like, it's interesting. I see so many musicians on YouTube, and I've seen a lot of them blow up, and they're strictly musicians. They're not teachers. And so it's like, there's a couple guitarists I can think of that they just go viral. Their videos have been getting popular, and they do get to that point where they're only posting music videos, and now YouTube is obviously making them money because they have, hundreds of thousands of subscribers. But before that, they weren't selling any teaching. Now they aren't selling any teaching. They have like tabs maybe on their website for $1, but they're not selling any product. And so I'm kind of thinking like, I can look at their view counts and kind of estimate. I'm like, man, I'm making similar amount of money to these guys with 1/10 of the subscribers because they're only making money off of their YouTube views, their music. But it depends on your objective. Maybe they don't want to be teachers. For those people, maybe they want to just be musicians and
it might be a side project.
Use YouTube to get their name out there and start having releases on Spotify. That's another way to make a little bit of money, and eventually start touring and get bookings and, yada, yada. So it's like, there's different pathways, but for us, the creators who are trying to teach or share in some way, that's, you nailed it. It's like, it's not about monetizing the content.
And you also just, have your priorities. Some people may not need revenue right away.
Exactly.
They're happy to just create and build a brand. They have a full-time job that they're happy with, so they do this on the weekends or whatever it is, and they don't need to like hustle to try to make money. And that said, then maybe they will wait till they have 1 million subscribers and, like you said, drop the Spotify tracks and then maybe get paid there, or they release a book or whatever it is.
Yeah,
it's called you have a signature product and you focus everything on that, or you have like scattered sources of revenue. I think the metaphor I heard once is like a strip mall versus a skyscraper. You could have the strip mall with all your different products and just have the scattered income here and there, and you just go with it. Or you concentrate, you build up that following, you erect the skyscraper, and then you release your book or your course or whatever it is, and then you make bank. Like you go big.
Yeah.
And people do that too. And that's okay too. It just all depends on what your priorities are.
Yep.
And your needs.
Yeah.
Well, I think this was informative. And I think to loop it back around to why I find these conversations important for the Sovereign States of Mind podcast is, I don't know if there's a better way to start developing sovereignty over your life than creating a personal brand that starts to put products out. And now I know we're not talking about your personal brand here. We've been talking about your business, I guess, as a creator, but that is a natural derivative of the point of having a brand, is you're turning it into a business. Yeah. So would you have any reflections to share on this process and how it may have like changed you and how you approach living life?
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, it's completely changed me as a person. I mean, it feels like I'm more authentically myself. Big time. Like I'm because I'm in the driver's seat. I'm ultimately driving my whole career at this point. Like I'm not following somebody else's career as an employee, even at like a high level. If I was some like high level graphic designer or something. I'm still following somebody else's company.
You're making someone else money.
Now, some people like that. Some people really like contributing to a bigger, something greater than themselves.
Yeah, me too. I'm one of those.
I would rather build the thing that ends up being greater than me. I would rather be the first guy on the ground. That's just my personal, what I like. You know, I like being the progenitor.
Interesting. I used to be that way. I am that way naturally, but like lately, and like I just want to find a job, like working for someone who has a really good mission. You know, like I was trying to get a job as a podcast producer with a few podcasts I really like. And I thought that'd be great. I would love to be this guy's like assistant.
Yeah.
Like he's the general in the army and I'm just like, what do you need? Like, let's do it. And I'll be your powerhouse. And I always thought that could feel really good.
Yeah.
And the universe had different plans for me, probably for the best. I mean, I spent years trying to be the guy on the ground being, you know, it's got to be my way. And it was all ego. It wasn't natural.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never actually had a business plan. I just had this like ego trip.
Yeah, there's definitely a differentiation, between just like I just want to become super powerful, and like I want to build something that I'm excited about, do it my way, you know. It's like so it's like ultimately I see Dragon Finger Drums growing way bigger than me, and I would like to run it as CEO for as long as possible to execute my vision and eventually step down, you know, once I feel like, okay, this is at a place where I can appoint other people to carry out my kind of mission statement and carry it into the future, but no longer needing to run it.
How much do you automate now? Real quick side tangent. As how much of the workflow is automated, like with delegation? Yeah,
as far as like the tasks that do need to be done, it's 100% me. It's always been.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I haven't switched anything yet.
Do you have plans to start hiring someone? Because
not anytime soon, actually.
Really?
Because I have it set up in such a way that the only work that needs to be done is improving and tweaking and fine-tuning things. So it's like the systems are in place and it's just whenever I feel inspired or get a good idea to update something, I do it, and it doesn't tax me. It doesn't cost me a lot of effort. And I still get full creative control at this point. At first there was a period last year where I wanted to bring somebody else on, and I thought it would be a really good idea. I thought we would just kind of be able to explode, you know, and grow quicker.
Yeah.
But I'm realizing this niche and this brand is not there yet. This is a very slow growing niche,
as most, if not all, and maybe not niches, but creators. You can't really expect to grow terribly fast, right? I think it's important not to grow terribly fast because you have to be able to handle the energy that comes your way. Like totally. You know, you have it automated, you have your course to be sold. I mean, imagine if that wasn't ready yet and you had a million people see a viral video. Then you lose all that. And then you kind of lose the trust you could have gained too. With all those people. Okay. So your life you're in the driver's seat. You plan on being CEO for a while. What other kind of profound effects has this had?
My whole mindset and the way that I approach anything. I have so much more confidence in my abilities as a person, as someone who can be self-sustaining, self-sufficient. It's also, that's interesting. And I get that reflection whenever I end up having a conversation with a friend, which I once in a while I'll end up talking to a friend about life. And, you know, especially if I'm talking to someone who's still in the workforce and has never left that. They've always just been like an employee. And they're like, oh, I don't like this. I want to be making my own money. I want to be doing this. And I see that's where I used to be because they have no confidence in their capacity to just do it. And now I'm literally, so I'm sitting there telling them like, oh, just do it. Just like start this and make that and do it. And like, you can do it. And I feel where I'm at and I feel where they're at. And I feel that's where I used to be. And I see, I can't just tell them to do it. It's going to take them the whole process that it took me to actually embody and become the person that knows they can do it. It just takes the time.
It's a spiritual process.
It is. It's very much a personal, like spiritual development.
It's like you got to remove the self-limiting mindsets that, you know, we have this notion of, well, there's a lot of ways to look at it. This is we didn't really get into Twitter. I don't think we'll have time. But one reason I've really loved Twitter lately is because I just started a couple months ago.
Okay.
And once again, it's like YouTube. You follow the rules of engagement, you can grow a following. And I've been doing that. And I've been really enjoying the kind of content that I've been able to put out there. And I didn't expect it, but I've like my brand is the niche is more along the lines of like spiritual development. And I guess maybe that's who I really am deep down, is this yogi guy that traveled the world, that learned a lot of shit the hard way, that's done everything. And now he's like raising kids, living this weird suburban life by the beach off grid. But anyway, I'm learning to put my thoughts into really succinct forms. And a lot of those are reflections on my own growth. Removing the self-limiting mindsets is like the biggest hurdle to overcome.
Yeah.
I was always too scared to share these insights. Processing it out and putting it out there, even if one person sees it and likes it, like it doesn't matter about, it's not about the audience yet in the beginning. It's about you gaining the confidence to just do it and getting rid of like the fear of judgment. Like, oh, what if my friends and family on Facebook see this? Like, they'll, and maybe it might be different if you're a musician because music is cool. But when you're talking about, finding enlightenment by being naked, doing yoga at the beach or something, whatever, then, that might not be for every audience, but it doesn't matter. You have to put it out there for every audience and you have to develop that confidence, and it's already there. Like who you really are and what you're wanting to share, it's already there. Yeah. You just have to let it come out. And it's the hardest thing in the world.
The self-limiting beliefs are spontaneously removed by just doing over time is what it seems like. Yeah. Because that's basically what you just described. It's like you had to do a bunch of stuff before you really kind of realized, oh, I can do this, and that's the same for me. It's the same for everybody. And that's why what I said when I talk to friends who are like, I really want to be more independent and make my own money, and I'm just sitting there, oh, just do this and that. It's like, that's not going to hit them yet until they start doing, and they need to really feel unconfident at first. It's like, that's how we all are. Like, because we live in a world where it's like, not everyone is just popping off doing whatever they want. This is kind of like a courageous thing to do. And so it's like, I think the self-limiting beliefs are naturally removed as you do. And so that's why it's like being a creator in this way is like a growth process. It's like it's like a self-improvement process that you're doing, like a self-development. But it's almost like unconsciously you're trying to build a business, but through building a business and a brand, it ends up transforming you as a person. That's a really good way of putting it. Yeah. This is going to be a highlight clip because it's powerful. Exactly. You just do it. I mean, and that's really what it comes down to, is like we always say, like, do the work. You just got to do the work and, study along the way, make sure you have good strategies, and then success will find you. Yeah. But do the work. And so what you just opened up is do the work, and spontaneously the confidence will come. Yeah. You will defeat those self-limiting mindsets. Yeah. Because you naturally will pass different milestones that seemed impossible to you in the past. Like, you get your first 1,000 followers. And that suddenly changes your entire mindset of what's possible. Like, oh, there's 1,000 strangers I've never met that want to follow me. And then you get your 10,000 followers. And it's like, there's 10,000 people. And you can start comparing yourself. Oh, there's this other creator that I've looked up to for years that only has 30,000 followers. So I'm only a third of the way from them. And then you start to expand, and you make your first $1,000. And then you start making $3,000 every month. And you're like, oh, I'm making a salary. And it's just, so you start to like make these. But, and even that, like you're talking like, I'm celebrating like 100 followers. Sure. Yeah. And I'm grateful. Yeah. And that's the thing, is because that would never have been good enough for me back in the day, when my ego was still running the show. It was like, oh no, I need more followers than that, or this isn't going to be worth it. But now it's just like 100. Well, there's more than 100 now, but it's, that's my point. It's not 1,000 yet. And then just a few nice comments. And if you're someone like me that was dealing with insecurities about getting started, about how I'm going to be received, because once again, what I'm saying is what I'm putting out there is very personal, vulnerable, transparent, because that's just who I am. I tried to be the video editor guy, whatever. When you put that out there and it starts to be received well, you don't need 1,000 followers. You just need a few supportive voices. Totally. And suddenly, like, wow. And then, like you said, I have 100 new followers. Like, there's 100 people that care about what I'm saying. Like, that's too cool. That's amazing. And then, like,
then it's off to the races.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I started a cohort just out of the blue. This idea came to me, like, how can I make money? Like I made a chart, like the $1 sign, $2 signs, $3 signs. The $3 signs is more of my time. The $1 sign is the least amount of my time, right? The most passive versus the least passive. And something in the middle I saw was like a cohort, a guided course. How can I share the knowledge and stuff I've come across, the technical skills, and monetize that?
Yeah.
And what it turned into was this spiritual perspective on creating a brand. How do you be you, show up as you authentically, and turn it into a business? Because that was always a roadblock for me. And so after 12 years of failing it, I finally figured out the formula that worked for me. And I said, fuck it, I'm going to offer this. And I posted it in our community group, got like 5 signups.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I asked some other friends, I had asked friends to sign up for free, which goes back to what we're talking about, the investment in value and I have, certain perspective on this now, having people do it for free versus the people that are paying for it. And I'm like, this was all there waiting for me.
Yeah, totally.
100 followers. All I needed was to remove those self-limiting mindsets. And I would dare say, as you learned in 2020, is it was there all along. You just had to start doing it.
Yeah. It's like it totally, I feel like this is a more spiritual note, but it's like, I feel like we already are the highest version of ourselves, but anything that seems like we're not that is a limitation. It's like that's the thing that needs to be released. It's not like there's some positive quality or capacity that you have out there that you need to go get and add to yourself. I think you already have maximum, you're like your perfect self, but you have all these chains or weights or whatever that you may have learned over time and taught yourself and et cetera through your life experience. Yeah. That limits you. And so I believe in our true state, we're unlimited, but life creates limitations for us. And that's like the journey of life is releasing, throwing the chains off through experience, Well,
and then also recognizing your limitations and your constraints are important in recognizing the potential.
Yeah.
Because you go like, okay, until I remove these certain limitations, which is going to take time, then this is what I can do. So these are my goals now.
Yeah.
I'm going to break to the edge. I'm going to expand to the edge of these limitations until I can shatter those chains. And then we'll see what the next constraints are.
Right.
And I agree, we're limitless beings, but we are constrained by human form.
Sure.
And perceiving reality as, monkey bodies.
Yeah, that's the journey.
That's the ultimate constraint.
Yeah, right.
When it comes to dealing with this life. And then we can go through whatever spiritual ceremony to remove those constraints and leave our body for a while. But you're not going to be getting much stuff done for this reality while you're there, aside from the personal growth and maybe removing different kinds of chains.
Yeah, some trauma. Insights. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The last episode we just released was Dr. Bob Baer, PhD. He just released a book called Stop Doing Shit You Don't Want to Do. And it's about, he explains how like 90%, 95% of our actions are all unconscious that are based off of trauma. And I don't know if I fully agree with him, but we also live in a very conscious community where people are very aware of the decisions we make and why. But
I like just the title of that book.
I know. He's like, well, yeah, you're either going to want to pick that book up or you're going to run from it.
Right. Totally.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on, Tucker.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
It's been great. Yeah.
Anything else you want to say? Finger drum. What's it called?
Dragon Finger Drums.
Dragon Finger Drums. That's the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
You can check it out.
Yeah. I guess to anyone who's watching, who wants to be a creator, you can do it. Do it. Just do it.
Just start.
Just start doing it.
Thank you very much for listening. This podcast is available on all major apps. Please head over and follow there. And if you really like it, leaving a quick review and 5 stars is super helpful, especially on Apple Podcasts. SovereignStatesOfMind.com is a place you can put in your email to receive things to your inbox every week. These are updates. These are blog posts, anything related to this podcast and the theme of developing sovereign states of mind. sovereignstatesofmind.com. You can also support the show there by becoming a monthly patron. My name is Jordan Herbs. You can find me on Twitter as Jordan Herbs, JordanUrbs. And I look forward to interacting with you and hearing a bit about your journey. If you're interested in coming on this podcast, don't hesitate to be in touch. Much love. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Sovereign States of Mind.